Hey, what's up, everybody? We are on our Thursday lunch bites. Hope that you are doing amazing as we are embracing this April season. This is Ladondra and Coach Dawn in the house, and we are getting ready to talk on the subject of mastering your marketing through storytelling. How many of you feel like you're not a storyteller? Like, put it in the chat as you, even if you're coming in on the replay, put it in the chat and let us know if you feel like, I just don't feel like I'm a storyteller. I know that's me. Coach Don and I, we go back and forth in this all the time. We're like, I'm not a storyteller. You are a better storyteller. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you go up there and you nail a story. And I'm over here like thinking, well, I wouldn't have thought of that one. And she's coming back at me like, see, girl, you're great at story. And I'm like, where did I tell a story? And so it is hilarious when we are debriefing our different topics and different things like that. But one thing that I will tell you is that stories are so relevant to who us marketing and positioning our business in a way that we are connecting with our ideal audience. Let me say that again. Storytelling is so important when it comes to us connecting with our ideal audience. And if we really want to master our marketing, we want to take on the proven principles from Jesus, who was the master marketer. He always told stories. And so we're going to talk about what the importance of that, why stories matter to your business. We're going to break down some other things as it relates to it, like what do I share, and if I'm a private person, how does that look, all of the things. So be ready to take notes, because again, around here we're not just hearers of the word, but we are doers, because we don't want you to be fat on knowledge, but instead we want you to take the knowledge and turn it into action. And when we have knowledge applied, that is wisdom. So let's get into it. Coach Don, what's some of your thoughts about what I said, and then we'll jump into one of our main points. You like that?
I love the main points. Yes, ma'am. So, hey, ladies, welcome to Lunch Bites. Y'all, let us know who's here. I see Miss Lisa. Always good to see you. You know, Coach Ladondra, what you just said is so true, because we do. And I have a friend that we do the same thing. She says, I'm high maintenance. She says, I say she's high maintenance. For you and I, it's like, you're a storyteller. No, you're a storyteller. So it's always how others view you, right? It's so interesting. And so when it comes to storytelling with your branding, with your business, it's really important to be clear on that. And sometimes you do need others to help you point out the things that you are good at, because we all have gifts. And even if you think storytelling is not your gift, you have a certain way of telling that story that someone else doesn't. And so when your people hear you telling, your story in such a way that you may not even think you're doing a storytelling time, right? They're like, oh, that really resonated with me. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is how to resonate with your target audience by being authentically you, using the gifting that God has already placed inside of you, and not really getting caught up on the actual because Coach Ladondra and I were both in Toastmasters, and there's nothing wrong with that. We both got what we needed from that, and it was a great thing, but it was very structured, right? Do this, do this, do this, do this. And I can tell you that Coach Ladondra and I both have things that we do that we would be getting dinged on with the bell in Toastmasters because we're not following the rules. However, we are following God's design in us by showing up as we are and providing you guys with a story to help connect, all the things with who we are, what our gifts are, how we tell stories, how it relates to business, all of those things. So we're going to give you guys some framework here that you can actually apply to your business in the way of storytelling. So that's what I take from that, Coach Ladondra.
And y'all, we're already in our first point. So let's go ahead and let me just tell you the first point is we want you want to write down why telling your story, your personal story is important. That's what we're discussing right now. Why telling your personal story is important in your business. And the very first thing that I want to point out that Coach Don said is that it's about us creating resonance with our audience. And people, you're either attracting people to you or you're repelling people away from you, right? And with that being said, although, like she was talking about with Toastmasters, there's rules and all of these different things. And I think that those rules are applicable in helping you to set a framework and to help you to really kind of understand the dynamics of speaking. However, you have to find yourself within that. And I used to discount myself a lot because I'd be like, oh, there's all these other Toastmasters and they're so poised when they speak. And when they walk over here and their cadence is just so amazing. And I'm like, I have none of that. And so I should not be telling my story. That was the thought that I had because in my mind, I had become so immersed with the rules that I only saw it one way. That's the first thing. And so you really have to use these things that you're getting from the trainings that you're in as a framework to really help you to find yourself in that. And when you find yourself in that, now you have to figure out what is my story. Okay. And so when I say find yourself in it, that's your personality, that's your unique gifts, that's your unique essence, that's the way that you speak, your unique cadence, and understanding that you may speak a little faster than the next person, but understanding that, hey, this cadence is what resonates with my ideal audience. And that's why when we were talking about branding last month, we talked a lot about making sure that you know who your ideal client is. Because if you don't know who your ideal audience is, you're just speaking to everybody. And if you're speaking to everybody, you're not creating resonance. You're not tapping into that specific tone, that specific cadence, that specific problem, that specific thing that really just makes your ideal client spark up and say, hey, I need what she is putting out. So that's the very first thing, is that you have to really understand who you are as a storyteller. What is your unique personality in that? And then understanding, and we'll get more into that later on, like what is the story that you're wanting to tell and why that story matters to your ideal client, because you don't want to just be oversharing and just all this stuff. And I think that that was really a big problem for me and really wanting to embrace storytelling, because y'all have heard me talk about the disc profile before. There's different people on the disc profile, and so you have the D personalities who are bottom line, and they're like, hey, just tell me the facts. What do I need to know? And so I'm one of those. I don't need the story. Tell me what you want to tell me and let's go. And then you have your eyes, who are the influencers, and they are full of stories. They're the ones you're sitting there and you're like, if she tell me another story, like that's what the D people are saying. But what that person is doing, they're influencing you through the stories that they're telling. And so you just really have to understand, like, hey, when do I need to pull back? Like, am I giving too much story or am I not giving enough story? The D personalities. And then you have your S people, who are your stable people, and they kind of mimic the audience. And so they're gonna sometimes they'll hold back, sometimes they'll go for it. And so you really have to find a balance and not shy away. And then you have your C personalities, and they are going to analyze everything in the story that the I person was saying, and they're going to be like, did you hear this? She said. The D people are like, no, because I cut her off 15 minutes ago, but I'm glad you were analyzing that story. And so you really got to just kind of understand, like, your unique personality and play to the strengths of it, but then also understanding the weak points of that story so that you'll be able, like, when you are telling that particular story so that you'll be able to resonate with your audience without losing them. Coach Dawn?
I love when you go down the list because we know who we are, right? And we've attended enough conferences and trainings and things like that, and I will get something completely different than what she will get out of the speaker. But that goes to show you that when you are on a platform like that, you do need to have that good storytelling, story weaving capacity, right? Because you're going to have all those different types of people in the audience, and you have to connect with each one of them at their level. And so even though the D's in the beginning, you're going to lose them, when you get down to the end and you get the meat of the thing, then they wake back up. They're like, oh, wait, what? Let me pay attention to that, right? And then you have people who are those influencers, and they're like, wow, she told a great story. Did you hear that about her family and her history and this and that and the other? And, so just know that each part of the story plays a role for your audience and how to connect with them, because you're going to have every different type of personality. So you definitely want to play to each type of those personalities so that you can connect with your audience. So I love how you always bring that up, and it just cracks me up because we're completely opposite. And it literally reminds me of a time that we went to a conference and this one lady just blew me away. And you're like, I don't even remember. I mean, you remembered her, but you're like, I don't remember none of that. And I'm like, it was powerful.
Yes, because it was too much story for me, but I got the heart of the message. And so you really, that's the point. Is really understanding like what is your unique style. And again, play to your strength, but then also understanding that, hey, like, so for example, a C personality, and I want y'all to go ahead and put in the chat. Do you think you're more of a D, the dominant personality when it comes to storytelling? You're matter of fact, get to the point. Are you more of an I personality, real influencing, where you're always telling story? There's never a time that when you speak, you're not telling a story. Or are you the S personality, where you're stable, you kind of mimic the audience that you're in? Or are you the C personality, to where you are analyzing, like it's all about the facts, like it is all about the facts. And so it really, with that, with those who is all about the facts, you can get really caught up in telling all, like a lot of data, and you forget to tell the story. And you really have to have the balance. Those, like I say, with the D personality, you want to go right down bottom line, and then you forget the story. And the story is what really hinges, it makes that connection with your people. And then you got your eyes. If you're doing too much, then the people are like, if she said one more thing and she did not give me no data, no facts to anchor this on, your other people's mind, they check out. And then the S, you really just gotta find a good balance to where you're not people pleasing or performing. You have a good balance of story and fact. So I hope you're taking what we're putting out. So let's go to point 2. What to share versus not what to share. And this is so hilarious. I see Amber saying she's a C. Lisa, I see, and I can see that in both of y'all. And then Lisa saying she's an S. Yep. Lynn, what do you think you are? I think I know, but I'm gonna see what you put. I think that this is really fun, and this really helps us to get to know one another. So what to share? Here's one of the biggest issues that we come up against when it comes to storytelling. What do I share? What do I not share? One thing that comes up for me is that if it's something, you share the things that's going to really help somebody to really overcome something. That's the first thought. So you don't just share just to share. What is your intention about why you're sharing? So you have to be clear of the end outcome that you're trying to accomplish with sharing that specific story. Because if there is no intention behind it and it's just random and you're just talking just to be talking, you're not resonating with your audience. And in fact, you're losing your audience. So be clear there. The second thing is when it's storytelling, do you want to share the things that you have healed from? And so not something that's you're still in and you go to sharing and it's probably going to be like, Oh my God, you have a breakdown in the middle of it. Like you now your audience, they're having pity for you, and instead of them being empowered, now they're like, oh my, they have sorrow, and you've missed the mark at that point. And so what you want to do is you want to share the aspects of your journey that you are currently feeling healed from. And that doesn't mean that you have to be completely delivered from it. You are just not in a, so there, this could be phases to this thing, right? So you want to share the part. So let's say, hey, you're going through something with your teenager or something like that, and you're like, there's some parts where you're like, your teenager broke your heart, and so you're probably not ready for that part. Don't go to talking about that part because you're probably going to get on camera and just either you're going to go on this rant that's not conducive to helping people, or you're going to cry, or it's going to be craziness that's going on. You want to share the parts that the parts that you have conquered, or that you feel like you've had a win in. And so that may be that, hey, me and my teenager, we are really great at communication. And so here's how, and you can tell a story about a time where y'all communicated well. If your audience is speaking to mothers with teens and helping them to overcome, then you want to talk about what that looked like, and share that particular story. Does that make sense? I just want to say one more thing. So when I chose mine, I'm gonna throw me out there first. When I decided to share my story about helping, well, not helping, but my story of me and my family, we're coming from, there's prison recidivism, there was drug abuse, alcoholism, all of that. First and foremost, I was healed from that. Second of all, I asked a permission to share that. And third of all, like so there was this. I knew my intention for sharing that. I knew that when I shared that story, my goal was to help people to come out of the confines of their own prison. So they may not be in a physical prison, but many of us are in a prison where we're not living our dream, living to the fullest of our dreams, and we're cuffed to conformity. And so we have to get to the place to where, and so I had to be very clear about what I was trying to accomplish. And so with that being said, I don't want us to be cuffed to conformity. I wanted to break generational cycles and let there be, we conquer worldly conformity, break those generational cycles so that we could create generational wealth. That's why I shared that story. And so you have to be that clear, because when you're that clear, you create a resonance with your audience. And those who feel that they've been cuffed to conformity in their 9 to 5, or they've been cuffed to conformity in their marriage, or they've been cuffed to conformity in their finances, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like I need to know her. Like, help me help myself. Does that make sense? Coach Don, what do you have?
Yeah, all of that. And I don't know if it's my internet that keeps going out or yours, but every now and then we get a little spinny thing. So if I go out, I apologize. I don't know whose side it is, but a lot of what you said is so true right there. And I wanna also encourage. So I don't want people to feel like they can't share if they're going to get emotional, because sometimes you are still coming from a healed place, but it's still emotional, because
Right.
sometimes you get there, right? Because I've done that. I'm a big crier, but it's intentional, in not that I'm crying on purpose, right? But there are sometimes that just emotion is there, and emotion is, it's important, right? It's important to be true. But like Coach LaDonna was saying, having an intention behind that. You're not just getting up and you're not healed from it and you're crying, breaking down, whatever, and then nobody understands why you even told that story, right? But showing emotion is okay, whether it's, getting all hyped up, getting, very loud about it because you're passionate about it, or having those softer moments. So just know that. But Coach, when you were going into the other stuff about getting permission to share, that kind of hits on point number 3, is how to share when you're a private person, right? You're still running a business. A lot of that stuff may be very private to you and your family. But I think when you hit the nail on the head about making sure you're healed, getting permission to share, even when whether it's the internal family or extended family members or whatever, right? Getting that permission and knowing that they understand why you're sharing it, because it's to help other people heal. Right. So it's not just your healing, but it's everyone around you's healing, and knowing that they're okay with you sharing, because it's intentional, helping other people bridge that gap to get to the other side where you are now. And you're like, man, I can help these people. Right. If I just told my story, I think they would really be helped.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wonderful things there. I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna come back in. So the one of the things I want to go back to, and thanks for saying that, coach, because yes, you can get emotional, but there's a difference in getting emotional and having a complete breakdown. So
Correct.
that'll help you discern, like, if this is time to share this or not. And then also really understanding that how to have that emotion, but bring your audience back up through that story. That's a key thing. The when it comes to the permission part and knowing what to share, what not to share, you may not get the permission of your family or your friends or whoever. Just want to say that you may not. But if you've gotten permission from God, this is where you have to find out. You really have to be so in tune with God, and you've gotten permission from God, and God has said, go and say. You better go and say, because your allegiance have to be stronger to God than it
Right.
is to man. And so even if I had not gotten the permission from my family, and God said, oh, I promise you, I would have, because I am I'm not I fear God, and that's a healthy reverence. It's not a fear of man, like, oh my gosh, they're going to hate me, they're going to reject me. No. I fear God, and that's a healthy reverence and understanding that if God is telling me to share this story, he has a purpose and an intention for this that's going to heal, deliver, inspire, encourage, something like that. And I feel that until it's time, he's going to put a protective wedge around me and you and whoever else. So sometimes you may not have immediate buy-in, and then sometimes you may get some resistance. And sometimes you just gotta stand there, stand tall with your shoulders held back, and say, "But God, if God be for me, what can stand against me?" And you gotta be obedient to the point to where it's like it's non-negotiable. So I just wanted to say that, because sometimes
Yep, that's good.
it's not going to happen that way.
Right.
But then when it does, though, it's a beautiful thing, because like some of my family members, like my aunt and my grandmother, they keep telling that story. You keep telling, because they understand the purpose, and they've seen what's happening when that we're sharing that story. So that's why it's so important to understand, like, what is your intention behind it. When you understand your intention behind it, regardless if you're an introvert like myself, I'm very introverted. I will tell you this: when I understand the intention, I can move past me feeling introverted, and I can move into a place of love. In all things, do it from love. And so I can move past my feelings, which is my ego. It's me, 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 me. And I can go and reflect that story back to, okay, serving. This is me telling this story is serving God, but it's also serving people, and it's helping them to overcome whatever. And so you can flip it from, oh my gosh, I don't share this and I'm private and all of that stuff. You know what? Hey, did God give you the gift of that story, of that experience, to be private and to hold it in? Or did he give it to you to be a blessing to others? It says that the word says that we overcome by our testimony. And so if we're not sharing our testimony, we're robbing somebody of the opportunity to overcome the test that they are currently in, and they're needing you to show up with your testimony. Coach Don?
Like, you hit the nail on the head, because we've had a client that has been through that, right? And she did not have permission, but she had permission from God, and she knew that telling her story was going to, be the transformational thing that so many women needed, right? And so and she had to, and I'm just going to say it, y'all, she had to go through hell to get that story out. Okay? So just know the opposition is going to come. So
Yes.
be prepared, armor up, because it's not going to be easy when you start following God's orders and be obedient to what he's called you to do. Sometimes you're going to go through the fire, but you know what? We're refined through the fire. So definitely remember that as you're going through the fire, keep going, because there's beauty on the other side of that. And other people are waiting for you to be refined so that you can tell the story in a way that is healing for them as well. So just know that your story is so powerful that the enemy tries to stop you, but we're not going to allow that. Okay. We're going to keep moving forward. And like Coach LaDondra said, when you have to pull out of your own feelings and introvertedness, private, whatever that is, when you have to pull out of that in order to be obedient to God, then you know what, it all lines up, because you're like, well, God, you told me, right? You told me this is the story, and this is going to be healing for certain people. Give me the words, give me the authority,
Yes.
give me the whatever, right? Like, just help me to be obedient, God, to what you're asking me to do. I mean, you can go through many people in the Bible that had all the same things, like, who, me, Lord? Like, really? Are you sure? Because I don't think, right? And when you go into those I don't think moments, there's your problem, right? You'd be like, okay, God, I hear you. It's scary, but I'm going to do it because you said that I should not be afraid. You're with me in everything. You've given me everything I need, all the strength, all the power, all the love, right? And when you come at things from love, oh, y'all, that's so good.
It's amazing. Yes, 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 yes. Well, I hope that y'all have taken some amazing notes, because y'all just got a mini masterclass on speaking, storytelling, marketing, all just wrapped up. We just kind of flowed in, and so you got a little bit more than what was planned. And I love that we get to do this. And I would say that, you know what, like, don't stop here. We're doing some amazing things in the community, and we want you to stay connected to all the things. When I say some amazing things are coming down the pipeline that you want to be connected to. And so we will be announcing all of that later on. So I'm gonna just give you some pent up energy for now, and then you'll get to experience it. But I will say this: if you have not seen that, we have went ahead and put out that our September conference is now available. And when we talk about the power that just took place in that room, oh my gosh, the Lord moved in so many radical ways that we can't even describe it. And it was in business, personal, emotional, like he just came in and wrecked life, wrecked havoc in a wonderful way, because he is a God of the details. And so if you're ready to be met with the other sisters who are ready to stand in their power and their authority and birth greatness, while you're at it, you want to be in the room, because the theme of this year's conference is birthing greatness. How many of you are ready to come out of being cuffed to conformity and break those generational cycles so that you can birth your next level of greatness? It's there, it's available. The baby been kicking. We want to be your midwives to help you facilitate that process at this upcoming conference. So early bird tickets are available. We will put that in the chat, and just stay tuned to all the other amazing things that we're doing. Coach Don, did you have anything else that you needed to say before we checked out?
I'm trying to get the link to put in the thing. So we're good. Y'all go click the link. There's some testimonials on there from last year, because it truly was amazing. It was life altering. I'll just tell you that. So I'm putting the link in there right now.
And Amber over here, and we're going to get ready to sign off. She's like, God came in and snatched the edges, snatched our edges off the whole weekend. He did that thing. And so, hey, you don't have to come all cute and all the things, because your edges is going to get snatched off, and we all going to be looking a little look. But in our spirit is going to be so beautiful, cleansed, refreshed. You're going to walk out feeling like you're walking on water. So, all right. Y'all, we will talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.